You're hauling 10, 15, 20 bags of leaves to the curb every fall. One mature tree drops 150 to 250 pounds. At the same time, 6 hens are chewing through about 1.5 pounds of feed a day. Winter greens crawl along in cold soil, and you buy compost to wake them up. That's money out, and time wasted. The problem isn't you, it's the system you were taught. You were told to compost leaves in a separate pile, buy chicken feed, and buy compost for the garden. 3 separate jobs, 3 separate bills, and each one fights the biology of your place. Here's the system that joins them into one loop and pays you back all winter. Step 1. Leaf intake. Bag the leaves or rake them into a static pile. Don't overthink it. You want volume. Dump 8 to 12 inches of leaves into the chicken run. That's the bedding. Go thick. It will settle to 3 to 5 inches within weeks as the birds trample it and the microbes start eating. This is your carbon engine. It's not a compost pile anymore. It's habitat. Why this works? Leaves are mostly carbon, about a 60 to 1 carbon to nitrogen ratio. Chicken manure is the opposite direction, roughly 10 to 1. When the birds live on a deep leaf layer, they spread their manure through the carbon. That pulls the mix toward 30 to 1, which is the sweet spot for fast, clean composting.
Carbon locks up nitrogen so it doesn't gas off as ammonia. Odors drop, flies drop, the birds scratch because there's structure and texture underfoot. You just turned a flat pen into a foraging floor. One good tree can fill a run like this more than once. Don't pay for bedding. Don't pay to haul yard waste away. Put it where it earns. Step 2. Protein boost. Overfeed pellets only. Keep the feeder of layer or grower pellets full. Not scratch, not corn. Pellets are balanced. Your job is to make everything else in the run add to that, not replace it. Now bury your kitchen scraps and garden trimmings under the leaves. Don't dump on top. Use your boot or a fork. Open a pocket, drop the scraps, cover them back with leaves.
Why this works? Burying scraps feeds the soil life first. Worms, isopods, beetles, and larvae show up fast when food is protected and moist. The birds then hunt the bugs, not the rot. Bugs are high protein and mineral rich. Sprouted seeds from trimmings add greens and energy. You turn every bowl of scraps into a microbug factory. That's the protein boost you're chasing without buying extra feed. When birds fill up on forage and bugs, they eat fewer pellets. Expect 20 to 35% feed savings once the system is humming with a flock of 6. That's not theory. That's how much less feed birds eat when the floor is alive. Step 3. Moisture tuning. Use a hose to tune the leaf layer. If it's bone dry, give it a light spray until it's just damp. If it's muddy, back off and add more leaves. Your aim is a slightly moist sponge feel.
Why this works. Fungi and the best decomposers prefer a steady, slightly damp habitat. Not dust, not soup. When you hold that moisture lane, white fungal threads run through the leaves. That's your engine. Fungi knit the layer, bind odors, and make it soft and springy. That structure plus oxygen stops anaerobic stink. You'll smell clean earth, not chicken. In warmer zones, 7 to 10, fall and winter humidity plus a little hose work is usually enough. In colder zones, the layer may freeze. That's fine. It wakes back up on thaw. In hotter zones, you'll need to mist more often to keep it from turning to chips and dust. Always shoot for slightly moist.
Step 4. Scratch cycling. Once a week, hand turn a few pockets of the leaf layer with a fork or shovel. You're not flipping the whole run. Just pull up a square here, fluff a rectangle there. Then toss a small handful of scratch grain across what you just disturbed. A literal handful, not a feed. Why this works? That flick of scratch is a mixing cue, not a meal. Birds dive in to find every kernel. They shred mats, pull manure down into carbon, and throw dry leaves over moist zones. That pulls in oxygen, balances moisture, and evens out the carbon and nitrogen you're building. Microbes multiply because they have air, water, and food in the right places. The mix keeps tracking toward that 30 to 1 target. This is your only turning. The chickens do the work. You set the rhythm.
Step 5. Winter greens boost. After 6 to 10 weeks in fall and early winter in zones 7 to 10, you'll have pockets of leaf mold in that run. It looks darker, finer, and crumbly. That's the good stuff. Buy a bag of compost. Open it next to your winter greens bed. Sift leaf mold from the run over the greens beds as a top layer. You can press it through a basic screen or just crumble and spread with your hands. Lay it over a thin smear of that bagged compost. Why this works? Leaf mold is powerhouse texture and biology. It carries slow-release nutrients, humic acids, and a fungal-dominant profile that winter greens love. It darkens the soil surface, which warms faster on sunny days. That bump in temperature matters in short light. Your greens root into a living blanket instead of cold, dead dirt. Faster growth, better resilience, less bolt when warm spells swing back. Yes, I said buy a bag of compost. 1. Use it as a starter, then stretch it with the leaf mold you grew for free. You're concentrating the benefit where it counts, the greens you pick every week. Why the whole system works. Leaves become habitat, not trash, not a sealed pile, a home for fungi and bugs. Chickens do what they do. Scratch, peck, poop, spread. They are your tillers and mixers. Microbes multiply when carbon and nitrogen meet with the right moisture and oxygen. That's composting without the pile. Microbes unlock nutrients from leaves and manure. Leaf mold becomes plant-ready food. Your greens see it as a steady drip of fertility, not a flush and crash. Greens grow faster. You harvest more trimmings and outer leaves. Those go back under the bedding. The birds eat bugs and sprouts from those trimmings. Health improves. Feed intake drops. More droppings fall into new leaves. The next batch cooks faster. The loop tightens.
That's the self-reinforcing loop. It keeps paying you back because each part strengthens the next. Let's run the numbers so you can picture it. One mature tree gives you 150 to 250 pounds of leaves each fall. That's enough to bed a modest run a few times at 8 to 12 inches per layer. That layer settles to 3 to 5 inches in weeks as the birds and microbes work it. 6 hens eat about 1.5 pounds of feed a day. When the floor is alive, expect 20 to 35% savings. Over a season, that's a real dent. In zone 7 to 10, expect ready-to-sift leaf mold in 6 to 10 weeks in fall. Faster when days are warm and damp, slower when cold snaps lock it up. Leaves run around 60 to 1 cn. Chicken manure runs around 10 to 1. Your mix trends towards 30 to 1 with normal use, plus your weekly scratch cycle. That's why it heats gently, smells right, and finishes crumbly.
Notes for colder and hotter regions. Colder than zone 7. The biology pauses when frozen. Keep the leaf layer thick. Let the birds work warm days. Sift and thaws. Your timeline stretches, but the system still runs. Hotter than zone 10, watch moisture. Shade and frequent light misting keeps it in the fungal lane. Dry chips don't feed bugs. Slightly moist does.
Common mistakes to avoid. Don't try to run this bone dry. Dust kills the fungal engine. Don't let it turn to soup. If you see mud, add more leaves and fluff. Don't feed scratch as a diet. Use it only to prompt scratching during your weekly mix. Don't dump scraps on top. Bury them. You're farming bugs, not raccoons. Don't strip all the leaf mold at once. Skim the finished pockets and leave the rest to mature. What you'll notice after a few weeks. Ammonia smell disappears. You smell forest floor. Birds spend more time hunting and less time yelling. Feed disappears slower, but weight and laying stay steady. The run surface looks like chocolate cake, not a pen. Greens perk up within days of a leaf mold top dress, especially after a sunny stretch.
Start this week, simple steps. 1. Rake and bag leaves or mound them in a corner. Aim for volume. 2. Dump 8 to 12 inches of leaves into the run. Go thicker than feels normal. 3. Keep the pellet feeder full. No free choice scratch. 4. Bury kitchen scraps and garden trimmings under the leaves as they come. 5. Hose lightly if the layer is dusty. Leave it if it's already slightly moist. 6. Once a week, hand fluff a few spots and toss a handful of scratch to cue scratching. 7. After 6 to 10 weeks, skim the dark, crumbly leaf mold and sift it onto your winter greens. Buy a bag of compost to go under it if your beds are thin. 8. Keep adding leaves as the layer settles. Keep the loop moving. Never compost leaves. Let chickens do it. Feed less, grow more, close the loop.